Hello friend, how is it going? Welcome back to Toyota Maintenance YouTube channel. I have in the shop today 2007 Toyota Sequoia SR5 4-wheel drive, and let's do together pretty basic maintenance. Almost everyone should be able to replace spark plugs on this legendary 2UZFE V8 4.7 liter I-Force engine from Toyota, correct? So let's go and do it together and see how easy it is. These Sequoias are huge, so there's a lot of great space to work on the engine, and the spark plugs are not exception. So the closest one to the front on the passenger side, it's number 2, then it's 4, then it's 6, then the 8. So you already are getting the correct designation. If you ever do the troubleshooting or has misfire, you know that on the driver's side in the front, it's number 1, 3, 5, and 7. And let's start this job on the passenger side, which is way easier. That way we will kind of warm up, and then we'll get on that little bit more difficult driver's side. And basically I will try my best to be out of your point of view, but you are basically taking my space. I'm normally standing where you are. So I will start with number 2, the front one. I will unclip that connector, it's a push, and hopefully it will unclip. Now it went up nicely. Disconnected. Here is the coil in our way to the spark plug. So we will use 10 millimeter on that bolt. Number 2, the one is not strong enough. Whoop! We will put this little bolt in the magnet so I don't lose it falling somewhere inside of the vehicle. Let's put it right here. This will be the best. And look, the coil, you can pull it out and see what's happening with it. And there is a little bit of dirt and tiny bit of the oil. And this is what I remembered I put in the comments after that I did a detailing inspection. I recommended to this owner in the future replace valve cover gaskets. This one is not leaking at all down there. You don't see any leak, but here it's a spark plug tube seal. It's a part of that valve cover gasket job, and we can see right here there's a little bit of oil on it. So that should be done pretty soon in the future. This is the older vehicle, 2007 year, so it still uses that 5/8 spark plug range or socket. You can see I use it on this lockable snap-on extension. This is snap-on. It's a deep, long spark plug socket. I highly recommend these two items from Snap-on. I was going to say you will have to look in the catalog because I don't have item numbers, but guess what? Snap-on, it's so organized, it's right here. So it starts, the socket, it's S as a Sam, 9720, K as a king, A as a Adam. So you got the item number for this little extension, basically the same length like that socket, Snap-on. It's a F as a Frank, X X-ray. It's a W like a William, K as a king, L as a Laura. What is it? Uh-oh. What's the last thing on it? B or 8? Uh-oh. Let me look at it this way. It's actually might be 6. So the last number is 6. It's a little bit hard to see. So, right, you can see they will lock. There is the locking ring here. you can lock it on so they will not separate, and it's really deep reach. It fits nicely in that hole. Now I always preach, don't hurry this and don't use power tools, because you don't know how that spark plug is stuck inside. I remember this was the opposite. When I inspected one of these, it was actually, there was basically no torque on it. I almost didn't need the ratchet to undo it, and that must have been this one, because now it's torqued correctly. So I will break it loose and it should start coming nicely out. I will still not use power tool, but that's up to you. When you feel it that it's finally coming out relatively easy, maybe you can switch to it. But you know, there is always a risk you will damage the thread, because I have a presence of the oil. There's a little bit of oil in that tube. I will use this blue shop towel, paper towel. I carefully push it all the way in, and I try to clean that spark plug tube so it's nice and dry. You know, I always prefer to use for Toyota's Densos. I will never use any auto lights or stuff like that, despite the fact the aftermarket stores will sell it to you without any hesitation, because they are so cheap, some of them. No, we follow the owner's manual. These are iridium plugs, so you will be not adjusting on them the gap on those tips. You don't want to touch those, and it's that famous SK20R11. So this is the new one. We can still compare the old one. If you look on the old one, the gap, it's absolutely larger. I was comparing it. They are also old. You can see they are old. So this is great to put the new ones. So you just put it in your socket. That's for those who never even did that. There is a rubber ring inside, so it holds that plug inside. It will not come out. Please, on the iridium spark plugs, never touch the tips. Don't try to adjust them, because that will actually damage them. So don't touch it, don't bang into anything with it. That's untouchable. Now comes the arguing part of videos. Some of you say don't put any anti-seize. I like to put the anti-seize on those threads to prevent them getting stuck in those aluminum heads. Especially on 2UZFE. You who watch this channel, you remember. You do remember. There were cases when we find stripped spark plug threads in the head. It had to be replaced. In the worst, the head will need to be replaced, which will be not good, or removed and refretted. So I'm putting very little, maybe that will satisfy those who don't like that. I'm putting very little of that anti-seize, and we will go back to the vehicle to correctly install it in. And now it's really important to be careful, patient, and not rush. You want to make sure that spark plug down there, deep down there, it's perfectly centered in its hole, and the threads will be caught correctly. So I will not even use the gloves. I want to feel it. It needs to go very easy, and I'm turning that spark plug in. This one goes perfectly. It's very slightly lubricated by that anti-seize. So this is a pleasure. Obviously lots of space. So this side of the engine, it's very easy. Now I kept turning, and now I hit the end by the hand. So now we have to correctly torque it. Those who watch this channel, you guys all know that for these aluminum heads, 2 ZFE or even 5 VZFE, we should use 18 Newton meters. So it's relatively low torque. It's not much, because we want to have a correct seating, but we want to prevent stripping those threads, which we keep discussing again. Trust me, whoever you are new to this, you never did that, trust me, you don't want to strip those threads in that head. So you can see how it's turning. It's still very little. Now it's 12 Newton meters, and I'm getting to the end. Yep, 18.1, and that's it. That's a max I will apply to this spark plug. Now I can remove the wrenches and install back that coil. This vehicle didn't come with any malfunctions or something. This is just real maintenance. But I will still clean it perfectly, that coil. These are original Toyota Densos. I will look right here if I don't have any oil inside. You can look inside if the wire, that spiral wire, is there. Everything's fine. Only after that I'm ready to install it back. I will also cleaning up here. And now you just simply slide it in, put that 10 millimeter back, catch the thread. In this case I don't mind on the low clutch, on the number 1 only, not 2. So this is like a soft clutch on this tool. I will use it. You heard it. I have it torqued, and you will be listening for audible click on this connector. You heard it. And I have replaced number 2 spark plug in this engine. I will continue with this one because it's absolutely the same. There is easy access here, and I will invite you back on the other side. And now we are together on the driver's side. And there's a reason I invited you here. It's not the number 1, which I'm just pulling out. That's a easy access like on the other side. But it will be actually the number 5. There is 1, 3, 5 and 7. We already discussed that. And I have a conspiracy theory about it, and we can talk about it right now while I'm doing the number 1. And you please share your comments below this video. I like to call this engine bulletproof because they just keep driving and running forever. Doesn't matter if they have 200, 300,000 miles, they just keep running perfectly. But I saw on few of them, only few, I saw actually damaged spark plug threads in the head on the number 5 right here, and I'm not sure what it cost, because the only ones, and they were just few, were always on that number 5. My theory here is that there is a problem with these lines, and people will not put that new spark plug correctly in, and they will strip the threads. I think basically what I'm saying is it's a human error. It's not a problem with the engine. It's not some bad cooling on number 5 or something like that. I'm afraid it's a human error because people are in a hurry. They are rushing the job. Already want to move on other car which is waiting, and because the axis right here, it's problematic, a little bit. They might actually strip the number 5. You remember I had the 2006 Sequoia, which I greatly miss. I miss her greatly, my wife miss her greatly. We downsized because the gas mileage was so bad. I couldn't ever get anything better than 14 miles per gallon. But she had the problem. There was a blow-by the spark plug when I bought her. It was on number 5. I filmed for you how I repaired that thread. It's on this channel. And there are no other tricks or rules on that 5 and 7. It just take your time, use correct tools, feel those spark plugs, be careful when you are screwing it back in. It has to go really smooth and easy. When it stops, use that torque wrench. Oh. Now comes the 5. The same like before. Lift the wire harness off it. Pay attention. Slowly. And that was the 10 millimeter. It's brake lines here and a fuel line there, but no, I will still say that's relatively great access. I don't consider this super difficult. This one was fortunately loose like the other ones and beautiful new dent, so carefully in feeling it by the hand. Yep, that's the way, I like it. And I was just going to wrap it up after doing that number 5 for you and just say the goodbye. But I kept working and I pulled the number 7 coil and look at that huge crack. What is on it? Come on, camcorder. You can do it. Do you see it? Look at that deep, huge, long crack on that coil. And it's working perfectly. There's no misfire. There are no codes. There's no check engine light. It still works perfectly. Well, look at that baby. That's a serious crack, will you not say? Wow. Incredible. And the track runs perfectly. Toyota quality, huh? So I hope you enjoyed this video. You got your tips, what tools to use, how difficult it is, and so on and so on. Make sure you are subscribed. I can stop staring at this, sorry, distracted. Be subscribed, because I have way more Toyota tech coming your way soon. I will catch you later, my friend.